personal narrative commanders. That's how I was starting it off. That's how I was going to. Greetings, commanders. I am Stephen Benedetti, one of the community managers here on Elite Dangerous, and I am hosting with the fantastic Ryan Reynolds. Which is
you can push on this one, Stephen. I'm going to get away with it.
Yeah, I think we should go with it. You know, I think you got someone called you Ryan Reynolds. You hold on to it. So this is community manager Arthur Tomey, and we're here to bring you this week's Discovery Scanner, which is of course looking into the second developer diary, which we dropped on Tuesday, which is sorry, forging your path. So,
yes.
Welcome everybody. How are we all today in chat? Thank you so much for joining us. As you can see, I'm just going to say this first of all off, is that we are back on YouTube, which is awesome. Thank you. My sound is bad. Am I too low? Am I too high? It's another good point. We're back on YouTube, and this is a working from home stream. So we've been away from YouTube for some time. This is because of technical reasons of not being able to do it. So now we've got that. So if there is any technical issues like my audio quality or video quality or anything, please let me know. And clipping. Okay. And
also, yeah, it's a good day for me. It's my first. If you haven't tuned in when I've been here, so it's nice to meet all the YouTube fans of Elite Dangerous. So very pleased that I can jump on, especially on this show with Stephen, because it's going to be a good one. We're going through Dev Diary 2, which I'm sure you've all seen, but we have got some good guests on the show today. And obviously we've been watching chat, and we want you to have a good time. So personal narrative. Get those shots in. We are aware the drinking game you're playing. So start drinking and start celebrating with us. It's going to be a good show. So enjoy.
Much better. Fantastic. Yes. So again, what's really important is that we're here to not just get you drunk. We're here to talk about the new developer diary, which is really cool. But before we do that, we do have some news this week, actually. We announced this week that the Horizon expansion is going to be folding down into the main game on the 27th of October. So if you have purchased Horizon in the past, you will get a free Azure paint job for all 41 of your ships available in the game. And if you want to purchase Elite after that, it will come with Horizons included. So that's 27th of October. And not only that, Arthur, is there something that went live today?
So we have another CG has gone live today. It's our first actual combat CG for a while, and it's a competitive one. So if you're not sure what it is, when you log into the game, you will see the CG news, and there's some Gannett articles that go along with it. But please take part in it. It's going to be a fun one at this time. I think the previous CGs we've put in so far have all been sort of working together. But this time you'll be competitive. So things are starting to Heating's not a word, is it? Heating up. It starts to get hot and spicy in that area of space. So it's well worth taking a look at what's going to be happening. So yes, please check out our current CG.
Yes, and the current CG is really good. Sorry, I just got distracted by that personal narrative there. So what we're going to be doing tonight, though, is we're giving you an overview of the stream. So we did post that we have two very special guests on. Our first guest is someone that you've actually seen before. They were here on the Fleet Carrier launch live stream. Luke Betterton, designer here on Elite Dangerous Odyssey, is going to be joining us very shortly. We also have associate producer Oscar Briggs, who was on the 24-hour live stream. He's going to be on as well later on for a second interview, and we're going to have a wee bit of chat. And like we said, we're going to try and answer as many questions and kind of deep dive into the diary as much as possible.
And on that note, and we are keeping an eye on the chat, and we have a host of questions that we had put in from obviously the diary going live yesterday. We also have a host of questions from our impromptu stream, but also throughout today's stream, please, if you have questions about what you see or questions about Odyssey in general, please pop them in the chat. We are focusing on the Dev Diary today, and obviously when our two guests come on, please feel free to ask specific questions about their area of expertise. It's not often we get to have a dev on, so please feel free to ask about certain aspects of that area of the game you want to know more about.
Yeah, exactly. So, but before we do that, before we start going into detail a wee bit more and delve into it more, I think we should watch it. Just in case anybody's not seen it yet, here is the developer diary.
So what's really unique about Odyssey in the Elite Dangerous universe is that for the very first time we're going to allow people to set foot on the planets and in spaceports and explore the world in this new perspective.
We've tried to maintain what we felt was a core part of Elite, which is freedom of choice.
And we really embraced that with Odyssey and have transposed all of those careers back down onto an on-foot experience. So when you're picking your base suit in Odyssey, you're really picking it based on the career and activities that you want to undertake. Each of the suits has its own strengths and weaknesses.
So for instance, there'll be a suit that skews towards exploration, a suit that skews towards combat, and also a suit which you might want to wear if you were to go scavenging, hunting through wrecks to find bits of equipment that might be useful to you.
Odyssey will provide players with a clear choice. They're free to take missions, either from mission boards or mission givers, or players can go out and explore.
So we allow the player to disembark at outposts, planet ports, spaceports. So all of these are great places to find work and undertake missions, but also now you can go to our new settlements, which are a kind of more Dust Bowl, Wild West towns that you'd find on the edges of civilization.
When you find these settlements, I think you'll want to travel into them and see what the lay of the land is, see what options and opportunities they offer, and decide which way you're going to play.
With Odyssey, for the first time, we'll have fully modelled and fully animated characters appearing in game, and they will feel part of the universe and extend the narrative that's there.
They will be moving through these spaces, you'll be able to interact with them, some of them will speak to you, so we've had to work on getting those performances right.
It's a whole new way of exploring the game. You'll hear the settlement, how alive it is. You'll hear announcers, you go into buildings and the soundscape changes. It's the very first time that you're experiencing the sound of Elite Dangerous, not inside a ship or inside a little vehicle, but inside a body.
Meeting people who you can relate to in places is the way you can feel grounded in this quite fantastical universe. And there's going to be a lot of players transferring from the main game who have never experienced this before but will understand how it feels to be in that universe.
All of the NPCs that you encounter in Odyssey are all generated as part of the background sim. So if I go to a port or a settlement, the NPCs that I'm going to find there will be affiliated with the faction that owns that settlement. So we're driving some personality into our NPCs via the background sim connection, and I think that's an amazing addition.
One of our new features and new characters works for a corporation called Apex Interstellar.
Players will be able to book journeys to and from ports within jump range. This gives a way for those players to actually move around the galaxy for a relatively cheap fee and experience gameplay away from the ports themselves.
So within the on-foot gameplay, the primary way of earning credits is to actually undertake missions and obviously complete them successfully. But you can also do some slightly more nefarious acts. Maybe you'll go to settlements and steal items and sell them onto the black market. Or you could become an explorer and collect samples from our new organic life.
With Odyssey, we've worked really hard to maintain player agency. We want players to have the choice about how they play Elite. If players want to continue in their ship gameplay, absolutely. If they want to engage in on-foot gameplay, perfect. If they want to do both, even better.
And that really has always been at the heart of Elite. It's not the game we're telling you how to play, it's the game that you are creating your own story in. We're really looking forward to seeing how our players take that story forward and how they develop it.
And isn't that really awesome? I love watching that.
We've watched it a lot of time. I mean, people have asked me in the chat, is this the same stream as Tuesday? Now, look, Tuesday wasn't exactly planned. I think if you tuned in on Tuesday, we weren't expecting the trailer to go live on Tuesday. It wasn't definitely us who said it live. One of our friends did. So it's not a rerun of Tuesday. We have actually got some stuff to show you. We obviously got interviews with some devs. And we have some answers for you as well, which is really, really cool.
Which is important, which is what we're kind of looking into. So, I mean, I think first of all, we wanted to show off the video so that we could start discussing some of the other stuff that was in it. So there is a lot of questions and a lot of answers. So we've got some information that you may have seen, but we thought we'd pull it kind of all together. So
yep.
we've kind of broken down the developer diary, and we're just going to kind of cycle through some of the images and just kind of discuss it. So one of the big things that's really exciting about that dev diary is it discusses social hubs. So we can confirm that there is 3 different social hubs. There's outposts, spaceports, and planet ports. So you know, outposts can be in small orbital stations like mining outposts or trade depots and things like that. And where can spaceports be, Arthur?
Spaceports are the largest space stations. So I have to get this right. The Coriolis.
I just wanted you to say that one.
Space stations will have so obviously most you'll find these social hubs are sort of the size you'd expect to find for the locations they're in. So obviously there are smaller ones, outposts, and large ones at spaceports, and there are stuff on planet ports, obviously because you can land on planets which have large service installations. So yeah, there's a lot of variations of where you can find social hubs and their sort of sizes and looks and bits and bobs. People have asked us about careers. I guess the easiest way to put this now, again, I want to preface some of these answers to some of these questions is we're trying to be very cagey about some of the answers purely because there's a lot of stuff we want to share with you at a certain point in time, and we don't want to allude to stuff or let you guess or work out what other features are coming to Odyssey. So if it feels like we're being cagey, we probably are. Just to be honest. I don't want to give away too much that gives away a feature we don't want to talk about or share yet. We want to keep sort of surprises down the line for you all. There's no point telling you everything now and making you wait. We want to give you stuff along the road. So people have asked about the career. As the dev diary sort of goes into, Odyssey continues what Elite's all about, and I'm not going to say personal narrative. Oh, said it again. Drink. But it's about making your choice. So a lot of the stuff you can do in space will transfer onto on-foot missions. There will be some stuff that's slightly different. So we do have some combat missions, exploration missions, scavenger missions. But it's all around the traditional way of sort of the Elite gameplay loop and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in order to do those missions, you do need to be wearing certain suits, and there's been lots of questions about suits. So Stephen, do you want us to talk a little bit about suits?
Yeah, so it's really exciting that obviously you've seen a couple of the suits and the previous dev diary, and you saw some more now, and there is a lot of that's the wrong word to use. There is a lot of work that's been put into these suits and ideas to kind of aid in the missions and further develop your experience in Odyssey. So a lot of that is like the flight suit, which you've currently got right now, and I believe if I can
in there somewhere, Stephen.
Magical. It's not that one. It's definitely not that one. But I believe I have them in the wrong order. Yeah. So this is the one that we kind of have just now, the one that you've seen in game. That's still going to be there, still going to be used for that, but you also have suits to help you with exploration, suits to help you with combat, and suits to help you with scavenging, which is really cool. Which, I mean, some of the suits and the design that kind of went into them just look really really
the
awesome.
thing to remember as well is that this is the Elite experience on foot, right? So the suits are going to be a big part of this. A lot of people are asking questions about what you can do with them and all the different variations. To be fair, Stephen and I are trying to work on putting together almost like a special show just around suits. There's so much we can go into. People ask, can they be upgradable? I can't say too much. We can't say too much. What we can say is they are upgradable in a number of ways, and we will talk more about that going forwards. I don't want to give it away because it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to go into it, and we actually don't have enough time to do it all tonight. But yes, they are upgradable.
That's it. And not only are social spaces somewhere you can go, you can actually go somewhere else. It's these new areas called settlements, which are really exciting. There's a lot of different variation to settlements. They'll be there if there's an agricultural plan, if there's mining or something, or if there's a military outpost. And they will have different NPCs, and a lot of your ground missions do go towards that. So some settlements will be harder to combat if the faction within that area is very strong. You might have a bad experience with them if you've not got a good reputation with that faction, or you might have a good experience with them if you've got a great reputation with that faction. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but I'm super fuzzy.
And just on that note, question that's appeared, it's not actually appeared in this chat, but has appeared in previous streams, has been asked. Again, I'm going to give a very simple answer because I don't want to get too much detail. But the question was, can I be attacked by NPCs without provocation? The answer is yes. And I will let you work out potentially or theorise about why that could be. But the answer is yes. So there's a question that was not put on our sheet, but yes, you can be.
Exactly, and then the next part we kind of move on to is, and it's going to be actually one of the key focuses of one of our interviews tonight, is the new kind of fully modelled and animated modelled models of your character per se, and the different NPCs is a big massive step for us from obviously sitting in a cockpit with a bit of head movement and rotation. We now have like fully animated walking bodies and NPCs to try and make this feel more alive, try to engage with these people in the game, and it makes you feel a little bit less lonely, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I've seen it come up in the chat as well. People asking about Apex. So Apex Interstellar, what is it? So basically, it's a travel service you can use. And one of the questions we've been asked is, could you play Odyssey without ever owning a spaceship? And the answer is yes, you can. You can if you want to. You can simply play the game just on foot. That's the idea. It's always been about blazing your own trail. But what I would say is there's going to be more questions that people are definitely going to ask us, like how far can you travel? What sort of ships can you use? What I will say is that is being worked on at the moment, and it's in part of balancing. So there's no point in us talking to you about that now, and that's us just being open and honest with you guys. There will be a large part of how we balance the game out. So distance of travel with Apex Interstellar will be worked on for some time, so until we can give you an answer. So you can ask us. It's been looked at. Remember, Elite Dangerous is a sim, and it'll always be based in its sim roots first. So that's a little bit about Apex Interstellar.
Yes. And a lot of questions obviously come with the travel time, different stuff. We'll update you more as time comes on with that as well. And I think at the end, I mean, do you want to say it for them to take a shot or not? May as well just...
Sorry, Stephen, I missed that one. I was absolutely reading the chat and not listening to you when I should have been listening to you, because like the pro co-host that I am.
Well, what was it we need to say for everyone to take a shot, is it?
Oh, it's personal narrative.
Personal narrative. So it's really important that you play your way. You have your own personal narrative, and you create your own story with your own personal narrative. But whether that be on choosing just to do it on ships, or to just actually just do it on foot, or do both, it's entirely up to you with your own personal narrative. So that's really important, and that's what we hope this new expansion Odyssey is going to kind of bring. I was supposed to be firing through these images, and I've not done a good job at that.
And the thing to remember as well is very much like Elite Dangerous as it stands right now. You don't need a mission to create that story that you want to do. I don't want to get people too drunk, although they probably have liver poisoning by now. You can play Odyssey however you want. You don't necessarily need a mission to create a story. You can create your own story using the world that you're provided. It is a sandbox, I guess, a sandbox first, and then it's the tools are provided for you guys to make your own story, and that's the exciting thing. And again, I said it before, when we launched Fleet Carriers, we had an idea of what people would do with Fleet Carriers, and you surprised us so much of what you've done with them. Some of the cool things have happened, like the tourist stuff and all this other stuff that's gone on. I, for one, and in comparison, let's be clear, like in comparison, Fleet Carriers is a tiny update in comparison to what Odyssey is. Odyssey is huge. So what you guys and girls will be able to do with Odyssey is, I for one, cannot wait to see what comes of all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. And to kind of go into that and to delve a wee bit deeper in this is Discovery Scanner. And as some people call it from the last one, Discovery Scanner would like to go into a wee bit more detail of different parts. So I've got a very special guest coming on with me right now. We're going to say goodbye to the lovely Arthur, only for the moment. He will be back. I'm going to jump on a... Sorry, I'm going to jump on a call with the fantastic Luke Betterton, but we're going to just jump to a wee holding screen for the moment, this wee transition, while I give him a call and get him set in. So stay right there and just, maybe say the shots thing a couple of times. Just take your own shots. and welcome back. I have the phenomenal, the charismatic, and the not a sight for sore eyes, Luke Betterton, on call with me. Can you speak, Luke?
I can try. Hello.
Can everybody in the chat? Can everyone in the chat here look okay? So as you can
let's
see,
just double check. Let's do this because we haven't done a working from home stream. The last time I was on, we were doing fleet carriers. So
that was an experience when we did it in the office, didn't we? We did the pre-recording.
yeah, that was at the start of the whole quarantine thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody remembers it, it was we basically planned on doing a stream, and then lockdown came, so we got it all sorted beforehand, and we basically rushed it out, and it worked. It did. I think it went really well.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to fix our lower thirds. I do apologise. There was a problem with them there.
Oh, what have you done?
I've broken it. That's what I've done. We've fixed it. So anyway, look.
Oh, I like that. That was nice. Smooth.
I fixed mine. I'll fix yours as well. So for anybody in the chat who hasn't met you before, who are you, Luke, and what do you do here on Elite Dangerous?
I'm Luke. Hi. You guys have seen me before on Fleet Carriers, and I've probably been on the forums a bit. I generally work on missions. That's kind of my thing. It's been my thing for quite a while. I do other bits and pieces here and there, but missions is the main thing that I get stuck into. Missions is quite interesting though, because as everyone who's played the game will know, missions kind of touch on everything else. I tend to dabble in a lot of different places.
Yeah, and a lot of people are putting a comment in saying, you look oddly like a ship out of Elite Dangerous there, Luke.
Yeah, some people have
okay?
noticed whose screenshot that is, and it's a phenomenal screenshot. So if you notice, I'll put a link in the YouTube chat later on, but
yes,
it's good stuff.
So unfortunately Luke just doesn't have a webcam to use, but we still want his knowledge and understanding of the process, because he's a really
I apologise
integral
that you don't
part.
get to see my face.
It's
okay because I can sit and fiddle with stuff now without being awkward.
I've bigged up your face, I think, quite a bit there. Another good question for this is, how is like I said, you were here working on fleet carriers before you've moved on to Odyssey. Is there a big process change from what you were doing on Elite Dangerous to Elite Dangerous Odyssey, or is it kind of similar process?
In some ways it is similar. In some ways it's vastly different. So in the ways that it's similar is like we're still working with the kind of the basic bits and pieces of Elite. Like the core of Elite is still there. Like Odyssey is not it's not kind of completely separate. It's definitely this whole like other layer. I think Gareth mentioned this on the dev diary quite a lot. This is, Odyssey is kind of the next layer on top of the existing game. So the base stuff that we're looking at, the BGS, all that stuff is still there. But Odyssey, what I find is really interesting about Odyssey, and it kind of still blows my mind a little bit, is we're working on a completely different scale to everything that we've done before. When Elite was released, back before I even worked on it, because this game's been around for so long now, when Elite was released, it was, one-to-one replica of the galaxy. Like this thing is enormous. Like there's so much stuff to fill. It's a ridiculous task to try and get the kind of interstellar conflict and rivalries and these factions all sort of playing against each other. And with Odyssey, we go kind of down a scale. Rather than going up, which is quite the normal thing to do, Odyssey kind of goes back again. We're going back to kind of human scale stuff, and that means that we've got all these new settlements and all that sort of stuff that we have to interact with now, and missions have to kind of point you at these things and get you to do things at these various different places and give you interesting stories and compelling reasons to go to these locations and do things for these people who are actually there in front of you. That's quite different on a technical scale and a kind of conceptual scale. It's quite different.
Yeah, no, it seems like two very different, in a sense, games. Even though it's in addition to Elite Dangerous, this additional part of Odyssey is really going to add a lot more depth, which is really exciting. And talking about more depth, there's obviously a way to get about. Can you tell us a wee bit more information on the suits at all that were shown today, and how they can help with, and how they can possibly help with missions and sense of that in that kind of sense?
I can tell you a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just
That's all
a
we're
little
asking.
bit. So I haven't worked directly on suits. It's a big job dealing with suits. Suits are essentially like the ship of the Odyssey game, I guess. They are the things that you kind of it's your kind of personality and the way that you play the game dictates which suit you're going to choose. We've mentioned. I think you've already mentioned a couple of the different sort of suits that you have, but there's. I saw a few questions as well. There are ways that you can upgrade them, make them more powerful. There are ways that you can modify them that will make them a little bit more appropriate. So you've got the base suit choice, and then you've got the modifications that you apply to the suit that can help you, do what you want to do better. And like ships, sorry. That's a very tricky thing. Don't mess that up. Like ships, you can buy multiple. So these are things that you can kind of collect if you're that sort of person, or you can, buy one and buy another one that's exactly the same but modify them in slightly different ways. This is they're kind of the ship of Odyssey.
Yeah, and
we'll go into more detail on that later. I'm sure.
Exactly. I mean, everybody's chomping at the bit of going like, "Oh, what about all this? What about this?" Different things. I think
really fun.
One of the questions: can we have decals on suits? They are a really exciting point. Like you said, they're quite like ships. We will definitely go into more detail as time goes on. So please stick to our social channels and forums, and you'll find out when we're doing that. But that's your kind of first wee taste of it. So another thing that I've kind of wanted to ask, now that we've kind of learned a wee bit more about what missions are available on foot, could you be able to walk me through a scavenger mission at all?
Scavenger mission?
Yes. Because everybody's been asking. As soon as we saw it, that there was a scavenging site, everyone was like, "Whoa, what did you do at a scavenging site?" So could you walk me through one?
So do you want the whole thing? Should we do the whole thing?
Oh, I mean, I've got time. Chat, do you?
Yeah, okay. Cool. So the way that you pick up missions in Odyssey is going to be a little different. You've still got the mission board. That's your kind of standard place that you'll get missions. But obviously, you've also got these people that you can talk to. And occasionally, these people will have knowledge about a certain wreck or an abandoned ship, something like that will have something of interest to them there. They'll get your attention. They'll try and kind of make their case as to why you should go scavenging for them there. And they'll offer you some cash for it and, other bits and pieces. Similar to how they do in the main game at the moment. Should we talk about the other thing? Is this like a little kind of...
Maybe.
Should we reveal a little bit of feature stuff here?
I mean, I always like when you come on because you always give a little bit of extra. I like it.
Yeah. Is this approved? I don't know. Let's go for it anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
So one of the things that you get to do when you're talking to a person, obviously, is you get to have your side of the argument. And part of that is one of the ways that we wanted to allow you to do that is by negotiating for your outcome. So if you've got if they're offering 10,000 credits for this particular task or whatever the value is, ignore the value, they're offering 10,000 for example, and you think like, actually that's not enough, this is a bit risky, what you can then say to them is actually, you know what, you need to pay me a bit more than that, or you need to pay me a chunk more than that, or you need to pay me shed loads more. So you got the kind of the low, medium, and high sort of options that we want to you want more of basically, and that'll whether or not they respond well to that will depend on things like your reputation with that faction, the people that they work with, how well they like you, and how kind of veteran you are at this task. If you're asking them to pay more, is it because you're an experienced person at doing this task, and if so, sure, you can charge more for that sort of stuff because they're more likely to think that you're going to get it done. If all goes well, they'll give you what you asked for. If it doesn't go well, we'll see.
That's for future negotiations.
Yeah, we'll go into that a little bit more later on, I'm sure. Or we'll just leave it for you guys to find out. Who knows? Anyway, so you've got your offer, you've got your scavenger mission. you've got your kind of rough location for it. You can head out and you can either use Apex to reach that location, or you can use your own ship if you feel that's the way you want to go. You head down to the location on the planet, and again, like something I mentioned before, is this is much more local. This is smaller scale, so this scavenger site might just be a couple of 100 kilometers away. It could have been something that happened very, very close by. We're not always going to send you, many light years away to go and do other stuff.
Yeah.
So you head down to the location. You find the wreck eventually if you're good with your scanners. You can hop out onto your ship. You can either use the SRV to get closer if you've got a particularly big ship and you're worried about damaging anything, and you basically just go to start rifling around through this wreckage. Obviously, when stuff crashes, boxes tend to get thrown around. You'll have some containers, they'll be lying open. Some of them will be closed. Some bits will be scattered across the floor. You'll have slightly bigger containers that might need a little bit more work to get the stuff out of them. And sometimes you might have locked containers that you might need additional tools to get stuff out of. But once you've done rifling around or pinching bits and pieces out of this wreckage, hop back in your ship, take them away, or pick them up with your SRV if they're bigger. Head back to the location that you had it. Also, the other thing I should mention is this person who told you to go and do the scavenging, they're only after one thing. Everything else is yours. You go ham on that stuff, and then head back to the station or port or wherever it was that you found this NPC. Chat to them, give them their stuff, deposit all the rest of the stuff at the places where you can either trade it in or you can sell it, make some cash and move on with your life. See where else it takes you. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I quite enjoy the idea of logging into Elite, looking for the next big scavenge, and just kind of like going for it, like being in a different settlement and going, I need to get over and like get this thing and scavenge about, and the idea of maybe somebody could try and steal it off of me. It's a really interesting concept.
Yeah. If someone follows you down to that place, then they can definitely try and steal it from you. There's stuff of value there. You may try just stealing someone else's stuff, someone else's claim, I guess.
Yeah.
If we go into the kind of Wild West analogy.
Well, I can imagine is that like Bruce and I have this really bad reputation for like crashing into each other, and I can just imagine every time I try and do a scavenger mission, he'll just fly a ship right into me or something like that, or an SRV. But I'll get the thing that I really want. Yeah, you do that. I know you do that to me as well. I think it's me. I'm the common denominator here.
Well, that's in chat that I work with Nathan. Yes, Nathan is helping me do this. He's a very good guy. You know Nathan.
Yes, Nathan is another designer here. Lovely guy and a really good designer. I'm glad to have him on.
Yeah, he's one of the people that we're working with to deliver the kind of the wreckages and all that sort of stuff that you'll be going down to for scavenging missions, or just scavenging for fun. You can easily do this stuff without a mission if you want to.
I love going about in broken places. It's kind of like Rey from Star Wars when she's going about to get the stuff. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting. I quite like that vibe.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's some inspiration for us there.
For somewhere. And again, my camera's gone fuzzy. I have no idea what's happening. I do apologise in the chat. But that'll move us on to...
It's just like an authentic kind of Stephen's been drinking kind of
This is how I see. This is how I see it. Like, my camera's got drunk from being near me too long. The next question I have is something we've kind of touched on a wee bit, is this the BGS and the effect that missions kind of have on the BGS. Could you give like an example for the chat, what that kind of entails, how you can affect the BGS?
So I think the main thing here is that if you've played the game, you know how the BGS works, and you're probably wanting confirmation that this is still alive and well in Odyssey, and the answer is yes, it is. We've got missions that will affect, if you go and kill someone from another faction, that other faction is going to be negatively impacted by that death. If you go and help someone, you just do something positive. It doesn't have to be conflict. We have a lot of people who play without ever wanting to get into conflict, and we're going to have missions that can support that type of gameplay because, like we keep saying, it's your game. You play it how you want to play it. And if you just want to help stuff out, you want to go scavenging to support a faction, go for it. That'll help expand that faction's sort of influencing that star system or in several star systems. That's all alive and well. It's all going to continue. It's all going to continue working, and every time that you find a faction, they're going to have representatives at the various different starports that are out and about in the game. You actually be talking to the real people. So rather than previously you've talked to representatives of these factions loosely through the mission board, but now they're in front of you. They're chatting to you. These are people who work for that faction, and there are a lot of them.
That is amazing, and it just makes me think. I've got two stories. Is Commander Flossie was actually, I think she's part of a squadron, and all the kills, like she's never killed anybody, but she's got like a really good combat ranking because they all kill people, which really upset her. Which is phenomenal. And then the other time I remember is when I was on stream, and it's probably very similar. My camera's sober now. It was very similar to this kind of idea of I went and blew up a president, but I was told to do it by that station. I came back, I got arrested, I got sent to jail, and now I can imagine how terrifying that would be on foot, because I was totally blissfully unaware that the president was part of that was part of the home faction for that rather than the main one. So I just picked up a bounty mission that looked like a good price, and I was like, oh, that'll do. Didn't even read it, but I won't be doing that again, especially on foot.
Yeah, getting shot at on foot is a bit different to getting shot at in a ship. You don't have this big metal thing around you. You've just got fabric.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And obviously you can kind of, even though we can't see your face, I can definitely hear it in your voice. There's a lot of excitement for a lot of these things that are coming. Are you excited for Elite Dangerous Odyssey? What are you most excited about?
Oh yeah. What am I most excited about? Missions, clearly.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Fabric.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like what Elite does in video games at the moment. It's massive, and yet we're adding Odyssey, which makes it like just on the scale of the galaxy is enormous, but also the scale of now what the sort of experience you can have is also enormous. Flying thousands and thousands of light years across the galaxy and then getting out and walking around is entirely possible now. And there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff to do. Like, obviously we've talked previously about exploration and all that sort of stuff, but I think just, if I was not saying missions for the thing I was most excited about, I think I'm most excited about people actually just getting stuck in. It's obviously cool when we're working on this stuff and we want to show everyone everything, but getting you actually playing would be the best bit.
Yeah, exactly. No, and we can't wait. I think we're really excited. So, as we said at the start, we're going to give a couple of minutes to ask any questions related to what Luke's doing in the game, and even his job and his career, obviously being as a designer on Elite. Obviously, we can't answer everything, but we'll do our best to try and see what we can answer. So we've got a wee kind of answer sheet, and yes, there's another personal narrative coming up.
So I like it.
Bromo Brap says, is there a word of being walking about in your ships? We've already announced about that, that on launch you won't be able to walk around your ships already. SRV questions, we've got nothing to announce for SRVs right now. Player settlement / bases, is that a question, Rockstar C1000?
Come on.
What happens when you
die? There's got to be something in here we can answer.
What happens when you die? Well,
what happens when we die, Stephen? What happens when we die?
Depends on your religion.
We're going more into that later.
I'm coming back as a cactus. Yes, no, I definitely we will go into that in future. NPC companion. What do you think about NPC companion? That's quite a cool idea, but again, can't confirm any about that. We've got. Let's see if we've got some other questions.
Will the NPCs be voice acted?
Yes, that's a good question. They will be. Yes.
They'll be chatting to you.
One of the questions that we kind of spoke over already is, will suits have customization? We've discussed that again. We'll kind of go forward into that.
Yeah, we'll do something a bit more extensive on that one. I think people want to know a bit more about that kind of in depth, I think.
Yeah, and
maybe we'll even attract one of the other guys onto here. Maybe.
Can we buy all 3 suits, Luke? Can we buy all 3? Because I mean,
you can buy all 3, and you can buy multiples of them if you want to customize them differently as well.
Yeah. So is there difference? So like for like close quarter combat or like further away or being like a tank or something like that? Is there these customizations kind of ideas floating about?
You will need to ask Barry.
See, even I don't
Barry's
get all
one
the
of the lovely guys I
answers.
work with on suits and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should try and get him on.
Doggos. Will there be dogs?
Will there be dogs?
Will there be
Unfortunately, no.
dogs?
I don't think we have dogs at the moment.
We don't
We're
have
focusing
dogs.
on the people for now.
Will Odyssey work with Wings, multi-crew, or squadrons?
Yes. Yeah, it's all built onto the base game, so all of that stuff will work.
Brilliant.
You know, you'll be able to walk around with wingmates and do missions at settlements together.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think even after we said no dogs, Jack Little still wants to pet one, but that's okay. You can still do that.
I'm seeing a lot of space dogs, please, sorts of things.
yeah, take that back. See in the next.
I think we might have ruined this chat now.
At the end of your week, look, you know, it's your mission from the community to go to the higher ups and demand that space dogs are added into it. Obviously, I do apologise.
So strongly worded email.
Yes, strongly worded email. But anyway, we'd just like to thank you so much again for coming on. Look, it has been a pleasure as always. And we're going to jump back with Arthur and myself. And then we will have our next guest very shortly. So we're going to put a wee transition. We're not going anywhere. It's just going to be an image and some music, and we'll be back as soon as we can. And we're back with Arthur Told Me. How are you, Arthur?
I'm good. I was enjoying listening to Luke, who I have to agree with most of the chats. Is the sexiest chieftain I've ever seen. So people are asking for a Kovas Luke. So I heartily agree with them. He's great. What a top man! What a top man!
Do you know what? We had him like we said in the chat. We had him on for the fleet carriers. He did a lot of work on the fleet carriers. So he was really good to have on with his knowledge. But not only that, he was just really, really nice about it and was able to talk really well with the community. And I think that he's got a very good presence and very knowledgeable, which is very helpful.
Yes, he has. He's very, very good. Camera or not, Luke is awesome.
Yeah.
So just be aware. I know you were flying through and trying to get as many questions as you can. I've been making notes down here. So what I want to say again to the chat is thank you. We literally have so far listed. There's a lot of questions here. So we're up to something like 40 questions that we've seen as chat's been flying through as fast as we can. If we don't answer them tonight, they're definitely going into for future shows. As I said right at the start, we don't intend to answer everything, and the reason for that is quite simple. We're not. Odyssey is scheduled. One of the questions was, it still scheduled for early next year? Yes, it's still scheduled for early next year. So we want to keep you with stuff to give you all the way up to the launch of Odyssey. So we're certainly not going to tell you every single thing straight away. We'll answer some questions as and when we can, and I've been making some notes here, ones that I think I'll be allowed to say about being shot. So I'm going to go with someone's asked, will all planet ports have the same hubs? No, they'll be relevant to what where you're at. So if it's a refinery or agricultural, they won't all have the same modules. There will be variations. One of the things that I think is really important to note is one of the things that the dev team are really, really keen on, and it's one of the things we touched on before, is gameplay is key, and obviously time is key for players and stuff like that. When you're playing Elite Dangerous or any game for that matter, you want to make sure that your time that you're investing is actually worthwhile doing. So I don't think I know you certainly won't be slogging for miles around places just to get to a mission board to slog miles back to your ship to then do said mission. So things will be in a very similar location. They won't be identical, no, but they will be in similar locations so players can understand where to get to faster. We've invented a lot of new words tonight.
We have. It's no bad.
So yeah, you get faster and more efficient when you're playing the game. I'm going to scroll through these as quick as I can, see if there's anything else I can do here. Jetpacks, yeah, jetpacks. Well, there's flight. Well, I think we call them jetpacks. Oh, look, they look like what it is in a trailer to me. They may change the names to it, but there are obviously modules in there in the game, so you can see it from our Odyssey trailer, the original launch announced trailer. Sorry, you can see Odysseys are in there. Will there be nefarious missions? Yes, there will be nefarious missions. How nefarious? I can't say. There's been some like.
I love the nefariousness of it.
Yeah, well, what I will say is, Luke alluded to quite a lot there in terms of like some of the things you can do in settlements, and we were going to cover this in a lot more detail. Like, we have a lot of ideas. We want to deep dive into certain things, and at some point down the line, give you an example mission of what you could do, because it's a lot easier to show you than it is to just to tell, because it just produces more and more questions. You can be very nefarious, as I said before. You don't necessarily have to have a mission at a settlement to create a story or to create a moment, and I'm fairly certain people can work that out. For what I'm saying, will the walking inside buildings be seamless? Yes, it will be seamless. Can you walk into a hangar? Will it be seamless? Yes, it will be seamless. Can I walk around my ship? Yes, you can walk around your ship, as in walk around the exterior of it. So we covered ship interiors in a previous post, but in the hangar you can see the scale of your ship, and it is seamless walking from the outside inside. So there's some other questions I can answer there. I'm just conscious of time. We've got another guest coming on. Who's going to give me more questions to answer. Someone said, "What's genomics?" That's where you sell the exploration data that you pick up on planets. So there's various different sort of the social hubs and bits and bobs. There are places you can go to and visit, shops, stores, etc., etc. Someone's asked, "What is genomics?" And that is where you sell the data you collect from different planets and exploratory data. And as we did state in a previous stream, but I think it was the last Dead Diary stream, Stephen, there is a new elite rank around that, so you can rank up to that level.
Exobiologist.
Exobiologist. There we go. I'm just trying to get through some of these.
Yeah, about going through all these questions, there is currently, from what we can see, this is the first time we're back on YouTube, and there is over 2,000 people in the chat. So we do have our phenomenal other community managers, Bruce Carrido and Paul Crowther, in the chat, trying to write down as many as we can, and we're trying to get through them, so please bear with us. But what we're going to do is we're going to stop answering questions just now, because we have another great interview lined up, and we will be trying to answer as many questions as we can at the end. Don't worry, we're not just going to go away. We're going to go and try and see what we can get to through that. But we're going to go to another transition, and I will be introducing you to Oscar Briggs, associate producer. Say bye to Arth for now.
See you in a bit, guys.
And welcome back, everybody. I am Steve Bedetty, community manager here on Elite Dangerous, and I have the fantastic Oscar Briggs, the assistant producer, on Elite Dangerous Odyssey. Is that correct? It's Elite Dangerous Odyssey. I've not messed up the title or anything, have I?
Surprisingly, no. I am on Elite Dangerous Odyssey. So
Awesome. And what's really nice is not that we're saying that there's a kind of competition between you and Luke, but it's nice that we can see your face.
See, I want to say I'm glad we didn't get to see Luke now, because we are all bald, and Luke is not, and it would be a shame.
Hair.
Yeah, it would be a shame to introduce that. I don't want to include that with us,
Yeah. Yeah, everybody who works in Elite Dangerous has to be bald. Don't worry, Bruce is getting the chop soon. He's putting quite negative things in the comment section for me right now over here. He's not happy about me saying that, but he'll get the chop soon. He'll join us. All happens to us all. But how are you, Oscar? How's things for yourself? Have you been watching the stream so far?
I have. I've been paying attention. I've been seeing the wonderful chat go by. Not too many lulls, so that's very nice to see. Having a good night. It's great to see the stream happening.
Yeah, I just seen Luke said, "Look, should I be offended?" No, that was a compliment. That was a compliment.
Totally compliment.
That is a total compliment. So, as you said, you're an assistant producer, associate producer, isn't it? Sorry,
assistant
producer. So I was right first. Assistant producer. So, what is your role on Elite Dangerous Odyssey?
Yeah, so as we said, I'm an assistant producer. A producer is kind of hard to define. We like to say Time Lord, I guess. Some people do. I'll go with that. But yeah, so I work very closely with the character team. So that encompasses the character artists, the animators, a couple conceptors, and a coder. And I also work very closely on a couple other feature areas, one of them being the social spaces.
Yes, exactly. So that's really quite a lot to. I like the Time Lord reference of how you're going into that. So can I say it says correct? You kind of deal with a lot of the animation that's kind of changed as well and developed for that as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, well, the animation in general, looking at like base Elite. So we have some great animations there and on the ship, and it's really cool to see. But ships are inherently not organic. They're not living, and as much as you try and make them have personality and live, they're never going to be the same as kind of humans.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about swapping over to Odyssey is obviously having these human animations for the first time and getting to really put personality into that and having them feel alive and everything. It's great to see, and I think that shift over has, I wouldn't say as challenging, but it has been a definite culture shift for some of the team. Going from inorganic into organic people.
Amazing, and I think that's quite a big step as well, to go from kind of one process to another and bring that all in and still make it work with kind of the old stuff. But one of the things that we saw with the social spaces, as you said, is a lot of the NPCs kind of walking around, sitting at the bar or going to do different things. Do you feel that these animations and these spaces and the way they're pulled together add a new layer to Odyssey?
I mean, entirely. I think the best way to describe it, you always feel a bit weird when you talk about people watching, but people watching is something that everybody kind of does a little bit, because it's very, you make up these stories of who is this person, where have they been, are they like this criminal doing whatever, and it's great to do the same thing in the Odyssey expansion, where I really do like just kind of sitting there for a bit and looking over them and making up stories in my head. But yeah, it is, I think the AI walking around and the animations really can tell a story in of themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's what's, like you said, the people watching thing actually do that quite a lot as well. It's so natural, and I think that's what we're adding again to this. I say this layer, but if you think about it, we've gone from being in a ship by ourselves, or even if we do have a crew with us, they're always kind of spread out in a way and there's not a lot of motion, but that idea of sharing a space and sharing a space with your friends, like one of the things that was, one question that was asked was that can you see ships and NPC ships come in and fly over and certain things, and yes you can see out the glass windows. So that idea of somebody coming in and then you're like, well, they're landing, oh, who's landing? Is it Is it Bruce that's landing? We'll be here for another 10 minutes. Don't worry, guys. Got another round on. It really adds to that.
That's honestly like my favorite thing is the shot that you saw in the trailer. Honestly, I love just sitting there and looking out those windows and seeing the world just moving, and just everything in front of you is moving and things are happening, and yeah, you get to look there and make assumptions and just sit and hours, like honestly hours can sometimes, I try not to spend hours, but they can, I think, just slip away after a while of just sitting there and kind of watching things happen.
Yeah, and I think you know, I've just had this horrible thing. It's like people just sitting at the bar enjoying themselves, see me trying to land sometimes if I'm doing it wrong. Or I've accidentally hit boost. There's no getting away from that. It's just I'll just get a tweet, be like sitting in the bar watching the Benedetti just crash into something.
Yeah, you're going to get shamed immediately. I'm sorry to tell you.
Another quite interesting thing that we saw from the developer diary was the motion capture suit. Now, obviously, that was in the office, and I've seen a few people with motion capture suits on doing other things to help out. But does this help with the animation process? Do you think this is a really big tool? Do you think it's helped you guys kind of see the process easier? Or?
Yeah, so mocap's really interesting because there are the two styles. There's mocap and hand key. Mocap lets you really get the weight behind things. So when you're capturing a run cycle, so we have one of the animation team strap on the suit, go and literally run down the hall, which is always hilarious to see. And I tried to get Piers in it, and he refuses. But one day I will. But yeah, so doing that, and you get that very fluid, like human weight, whereas sometimes it's hard to get when you're hand keying. But the interesting thing actually is with our mocap. So we take that, we clean it up a little bit, we make sure there are no gimbal locks or anything, and then we actually put a layer of hand key animation over the top. So it has that base of mocap where it has that weightiness and it has that feel. And then yeah, it's polished up with that hand key, which is where the team strength lies. Mm-hmm. So that's really how they're thriving with that.
Amazing. And it's amazing to see because I just saw that obviously there was the barman, and I was thinking, see if we were still in the office, see if we needed somebody to act drunk, I'd be more than happy to put on the motion capture suit, go to the pub and get you some data.
Yeah, I mean, you know, anytime.
I'm sure there's some other people in the chat that would do that also. I mean, we could. Do you know what we could have done? We could have, if LaveCon had went ahead as planned, we could have got motion capture suits for everybody at LaveCon.
Oh yeah.
You could have got so much data then.
I mean, you know, there's so much personal narrative about it.
That's it. I know you. But oh yeah, that was me. That was definitely me over there. That was definitely me. So I mean, obviously, with you, it seems like you've got a lot of experience with the kind of motion capture and animation from this stuff and the settlements. Do you have any kind of fun stories or weird animations that you've seen? Because we've seen a lot of things, especially with like other games, where animations have gone very, very wrong. Is there any kind of fun stories that you can tell us?
There are no bugs. I want to make that clear. No. So yeah. A couple. Obviously, when I was saying seeing people run down the hall is always it was one of the enjoyable bits. Being in the office, you know. Unfortunately, now I spent more time at home than in the office, but yeah, that was one of the great things. Another really just fun, kind of quirky animation story of our team, just telling it about that. So one time I needed some, they were in the office capturing some animations. And so I had to call our lead animator, Felix, and basically ask him to, you know, do something else while they're in there, because we try and get, you know, a bunch of animations at once. And so I called him, and we're chatting, and it's about 5 minutes later, and he's saying, "Oh, hey, you know, my arms are really sore because I'm having to hold this tripod." Basically, he was recording the session on his phone, and instead of taking his phone out of the tripod, he decided to pick up the whole entire tripod and hold it as a phone right there. So if that tells you anything about the quirkiness of our team, it is them being goofy, and it's a lot of fun to work with.
That's amazing.
Yeah, as for other bugs in the game, yeah, there are lots of other, like, you mocap something and you're getting it in, and then out of nowhere people are just like on the ground halfway through it, and you have no idea what happened, and then it's this it's a surprisingly easy fix that you wouldn't have thought. So it's a lot of fun seeing a bunch of the different animation that pop up.
Amazing. And as I said before, this is a Discovery scanner. So if you have any questions for Oscar about being an assistant producer, what an assistant producer is, or anything to do with animation, please put it in the chat just now. I know there's a lot of questions about the Dev Diary and Odyssey as it is. We're going to get to that after this interview. So if you do have any questions, we'll speak to that. We'll get Oscar to that. String Theory says, can we talk to a bartender? I don't think we have anything to announce at that time. I don't know if it's because they don't know how much alcohol is going to be, they're going to have yet. I don't know. I do have I think I had a good question there. But while I'm trying to get you a couple of questions, the same thing I asked Luke. Are you excited? What are you excited about Elite Dangerous Odyssey?
Yeah, I am excited. I'm excited for mainly the community to have this new experience. It's something that it's not required for players. So if you have your ship gameplay that you love and you don't want to have the on foot, you don't have to. But it's a new awesome dive into on foot, different experiences. As we said, like. I think the best way to say it for me is I feel like space is inherently lonely. It's a lonely experience. Luckily, we have an amazing community and, an amazing base game that makes it not as lonely. But the on-foot experience, going on planets, going into these ports, going everywhere, it kind of brings it together in my eyes. And it's this great kind of melding of it all. And you can, fly down from your gameplay that you love and land and do a whole entire new thing. And it's I'm very excited to have the community play it.
It's like that idea. I think it's quite funny. It's like when you're sitting in your house and you're like, oh, I feel really lonely. I want to see my friends. I want to see people. And then you do, and then you go, actually, I want to be alone again. I know that sounds a really dumbed down version, but I think that's what you get with Elite. I think that's what you can get with Odyssey as well. Is this idea you've been traveling for miles in your ship, and you go, do you know what? I want to go to the social hubs and do a couple of stuff and meet up with my friends and person, and my avatar and go in. And I think that's what's really cool about it. So I do have some questions for you.
Yeah.
Can we tell the bartender all of our problems?
You can do whatever you want. Whether he responds is another question.
That's another question. Can we walk in all space stations? And I think we said that it's the social hubs, walking about the social hubs. And there's 3 different types. There's the outposts, there's the planet posts, and there's the forgot the last one. What's it called again? Social post.
You said outpost, planet port, and spaceport.
That was it. Spaceport. Spaceport and Planetport. Somebody said, how was it animating the dog that is now getting put in the game from the last interview? So that's quite weird.
I am gonna be very sad because we can't get on that account of Can You Pet the Dog? And that is obviously every dev's dream, is to get on that Twitter account.
And it'll never happen for you, Oscar. So you need to now send a strongly worded email on Friday along with Luke. You can CC each other in.
I'll do it. I'll go in the mocap suit. I'll become a dog. I'll do it for the community.
I'm not going to delve any further into that. There's too many questions. There's quite a good one from Vic Punisher. It says, will animations in the cockpit, I think, from the character be changed? Are they changing?
We don't have any plans to change up the animations in the cockpit because, we feel that they're still all very fit for purpose.
Yeah. I've got another question as well. What motion capture setup are you using in the office?
That's a good question. I'm not actually fully sure of the suit name, but we do. So basically, what it is we obviously right now, because a lot of us are working from home, a couple of them go into the office, stay socially distanced, and you put on the suit. It's as you saw in there. I think it's mainly the top, maybe, and I think a bit of the bottoms, and it's little packs that go on the suit, and then you just choose an area that has enough space to do your animation, and you set yourself up and then go from there.
Yeah, awesome. And the other interesting, I think the other question is and I don't want you to answer this because we can't really talk about it just now, but somebody's asked, does it look cool, the animation for the combat stuff? So I don't want you to talk about it because obviously we can't, but I just want, give me a facial expression. That was good. That was quite good. When it was, I don't know if that was good or bad. That was kind of.
Yeah, I won't dive into it, but I'm a big fan of some of the weapon animations.
Amazing, fantastic. Well, we're not going to take up any more of your time. There's some questions about emotes. We are not got any questions. We've got no answer for emotes at this time. Please wait for further down the campaign. We'll let you know more about that at the moment. But we're going to let Oscar go just now. We're going to get our lovely and our favourite Arthur back. But we're going to jump to a wee transition screen again. So thank you once again, Oscar Briggs, for coming on.
Thank you.
And have a lovely evening, 07 Commander.
Bye, chat.
And welcome back, Arth. There you go. It popped back in eventually. So amazing interviews. Thank you so much again, Luke Betterton and Oscar Briggs, for coming on. They were really interesting interviews. I'm sure the chat enjoyed them. I really enjoyed them. Very welcomed. While we're going to kind of try and get some questions together now, this is the question part. We thought that while there's questions coming through, we'll try to answer them the best that we can. We're also going to try and give away a prize. So we're going to give a Frontier, I'm going to go for Mamba, because I like the Mamba. Frontier Mamba paint job. If you put in the chat, ! Settlement. If you put ! Settlement in the chat, we'll pick a winner, and if you win, I'll tell you what to do after that. That's
very kind of you. I was being very quiet because you were giving away the rules and sort of stuff. You've gone very blurry again. I don't
know what it is. I think my camera's got a drinking problem.
I think it has.
Because it's not me.
One other nice guy. I mean, I think how it works is basically Stephen, Oscar, and I just go into the barbers and ask for a 3 for 2 on haircuts. I think basically that's how it's going to work. I looked at Oscar's a very good looking chap, by the way.
Yes,
I imagine if you put Oscar side by side with me, it'd be like the before and after on a Weight Watchers packet. So it'd be like
you said that about me. No, you said that about me. I think there's like a 3 level here. I think there's like you and I are at 2 opposite ends of the scales with the beard. So I think my beard's smaller than Oscar's now. And then it's Oscar, and then you've got the bigger beard, so we're transitioning into one another.
Cool. I mean, we've got some questions to our guys for a couple of things I picked up on stream. Yes, I know technically we used to do just 1 hour streams only, but we that's not how we're doing things now. We're just going to talk until we've said what we want to say, really. You spent the time with us, so we think it's only fair that we spend the time with you. And I can only thank Luke and Oscar for hanging in as we sort of chat to you guys and talk. I know they're already working sort of hard on Odyssey, so it's very kind that they spent time tonight to spend with us. That's worse. Somehow, Stephen, you made that worse.
I don't know what's wrong with my eyes. I have no idea what's going on with this camera at all.
Anyways, that's a very tiny reminder. Obviously, we are working from home, so there will be slight technical hiccups. And obviously, when I'm involved, there's a lot of technical hiccups. So there's one question that came up towards the end there, and you asked about the weapons. Now, I'm not going to go into details on weapons at all, but I have got a note from on my question sheet from one of the devs to say, talk about this in your stream. It'd be a nice little surprise. One of the questions that has come up a lot is, will there be like a CQC style thing for on foot? I am not going to go into it, but I will just give you one answer, and that is yes. And we'll talk about that at a later date. But it's something to look forward to. It's something we want to save up, and we'll go into more detail. Like I say, this when we talk about Odyssey, you have to remember that this isn't just a tip. This is the largest add-on that Elite's ever had. So there is so much to discuss, and we understand there's a lot of intricacies for you guys that are out there been playing this game for years and years, and you understand it so inside out. We understand there's a million questions you have, and some of the stuff we're going to try and answer as much as we can do tonight and across the next coming months. But a lot of the stuff we'll discover along the way as we play the game. And it's not us being cagey. Sometimes we are. Sometimes we just don't want to tell you because it's stuff we don't want to spoil for a future stream. Bear in mind, we're not quite in the next year yet. I mean, I think everybody wants to leave 2020 as fast as they can for numerous reasons. And one of the big ones is obviously as soon as we get into next year, the sooner we get into to Odyssey. So there's a little question for you, a little answer for one of the questions. I've got some other questions I need to check. I've got 2 sheets I'm looking through at the moment. So feel free to jump in and see if there's anything in chat I'm missing now whilst I look at anything else.
While you're looking, I will have a wee go. So we have question: does Social Hub mean cross-platform of some type? No, it does not. We have not discussed anything with cross-platform at the moment. Obviously, with Odyssey's release, I will update with that at the time. Any Gunpla on the shelf, Arthur? I think is a good question for you.
What was the question? Any what on the shelf? Sorry.
Gunpla. I don't know what Gunpla is, but I think it must be something related to your fantastic shelf of Transformers.
Is it a mistype? Is it supposed to be Gundam?
Might be
Gundam. Gundam?
I don't know. I got Gunpla. I'm going with it.
If it's, I have Transformers, not Gundam. Sorry. They are almost the same thing. Almost. So let me go through some of these questions over here. So, in fairness, and Stephen will attest to this, I spent a lot of hours this morning collating questions and getting answers and stuff like that. So one of the questions that came in the chat was, will this NPCs and social hubs differ? So the answer for that is the NPCs and the social hubs will differ based on the factions that control them. So yes, they will differ, and they will reflect those factions. Will we be able to access the same types of missions in all the hubs and social spaces? Well, so the availability and services of certain mission givers will be affected by the background simulation. So again, it is reflective of what's going on in the universe at the time. This has been answered previously, but just in case, will the atmospheres be breathable in Odyssey? So as in, can you go outside without a suit? No, the thin atmospheres are not breathable, so you will be required to wear a suit and manage that suit. There's
a question about Fedro. I've seen this a few times about fleet carrier interiors, and we've got nothing to report on fleet carrier interiors at the moment.
Not at the moment. At the moment. Will NPCs respond to you differently depending on your faction status? Yes. Again,
yes.
Apologies, it's a one-word answer, but you'll understand that this then leads on to 30 other questions, which then will divulge the entire game, and then the hand of David Braben will reach spectrally through the window and choke me.
Yes.
So I try very hard not to answer the questions that I'm not allowed to.
Yes.
Are different suits shown in the dev diaries? Are these available to all commanders? Yes, they're available to everyone. So if you see them in the male, in one body shape or female body shape, or it's not exclusive to that body shape. They are for all body shapes. I think we gave examples of the flight suits we've been using. What else have we got here? Okay, this was covered. It has been covered in a separate article, but it hasn't necessarily been covered on the stream, and people might have read it. So, will the suits have shields? And if so, how is this managed? So, suits will have shields, and they'll be battery powered. I have other stuff to say about this, and it is out there in the open, but I'm going to save it because, as I said, the suits are a huge subject. I think, I'm not sure if it was Luke or it was Oscar, maybe both, but obviously on foot, the suits are as important as the ships are in space. So there's a lot to do with them customizing them to the particular play styles you had. Luke asserted to buying multiples of the same suit. There's reasons for doing that, etc., etc., etc. Again, there's a huge amount of work, not amount of work, sorry. It's just that's a huge subject to go into, and we'll allude to other features we're not prepared to talk about just yet because we want to surprise you. We want to keep some stuff along the way, give you stuff to look forward to, and trust us, we have stuff for you. Like we've planned it out, so we're not going to spoil it. It's like a meal, one little morsel at a time. All right.
It's like a meal. It's a very tasty meal. How expensive will the suits be? So we also said at the start that any of the like numbers and figures, we're still working on that, tweaking on those things. We're not going to confirm anything at this time. Please remember that Odyssey is still in development, so we'll be working on different stuff there. Will I be able to cook minute rice on my Python? I mean, on top of it. I mean, like put it on top of the bonnet if it's hot. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you got minute rice in the game, but if it does, it should, right?
Will NPCs move around and interact with each other? Yes. That's a very long one. Do I need a spacesuit inside a settlement? When you are inside, you can breathe out your spacesuit. There's an airlock, but that is not a loading. It's a seamless transition, so you're not going into a hidden loading screen. It's just a part of the actual sim. Covered that one.
So we've got some. Will NPCs have a range of facial expressions? Again, we've not discussed that, and we'll go into further detail as the things come on. Do you guys? Sorry,
I've got a question here. It says, can the settlement factions change or be taken over like in the background simulation? Yes, factions that maneuver within it will play a huge role in the tone and timbre of the gameplay options available to the given system. Mm-hmm. That player direct influence will play out most clearly in Odyssey's newest, largest, and most dynamic new planetary locations called settlements. So yes, you can affect that sort of stuff in settlements. There's some here I want to say for forum stuff because they're long answers, so I need to keep some of them for forum. Someone's asked, can you confirm that all the video that we've seen, other than it's clearly concept art, is it in engine? That's correct. All of this is pre-alpha gameplay footage. Nothing you've seen is pre-rendered. That is all in engine, pre-alpha. So we haven't done any jiggery pokery with that. It's just the boffins at FDev are just very good at what they do. A cheeky question I saw from our friend Obsidian said, do NPCs at space stations stand on tables? Don't know we've ever seen that before. They're not that we've seen in Elite Dangerous, no. So yeah, that's some of the questions tonight. I don't want to go into two more. Like I say, I feel we've answered a lot of questions tonight. Anyways, I think we've divulged a lot of information. As I said before, Stephen and the team and I and all the team that work in on Odyssey want to be as open and honest with you guys about all aspects of Odyssey, but we won't do that at the detriment of spoiling surprises later on down the line. And I hope you appreciate that. That's us being honest. Like I could just say, we haven't decided, but I am actively telling you there's some things I'm not going to tell you until I decide. Also, it's not me really, until we decide as a group that it's the right time for you to have that information, because it's just part of the journey to the release of Odyssey. Yeah, exactly. So there we go.
Yeah, we do have a winner. It's Van Vleck on Twitch. So Van Vleck on Twitch, as you're on Twitch, you'll notice in our about section that has been updated. It will tell you how to get the community prize, but for future reference for everybody else, if you get a community prize, please email in at community@frontier.co.uk with your name, what prize you won, how you won it, when you won it. It was quite helpful, and we will get that put onto your account for you. So again, yes, as Arthur said, thank you so much for all the questions. We'll continue to do this. We'll be here on Monday with the next Super Cruise news, and we'll be starting our October month where we'll be trying to look into a wee bit more combat in the ships with our new series Fight or Flight, which will be quite exciting.
I'm not sure if that was so that's I'm looking forward to Monday. I'm looking forward to Fight or Flight as well. This is one of Stephen's little puppies that he's seen from from conception to fruition is coming through. So I'm excited to be involved in this.
We'll try. We'll see how it goes. But yes, no, it's been an absolute pleasure. But before we do go, I just want to give a very special thank you to everybody who's in the developer diary. So obviously everybody who's put it together. So that's like a creative team. All the development that's gone into that work and everything put together. Our product manager who worked relentlessly at trying to get that sorted. Big shout to Al for that.
Big shout to Al.
And also special thanks to game director Pierce Jackson, lead designer Gareth Hughes, art director Chris Gregory, principal designer Matthew Florians, hopefully I said that right, and principal animator Felix Ilsley or Isley. I probably screwed that up as well, but special thank yous to you guys.
Nailed it, Stephen.
You nailed it. And again, obviously thanks to our special guests Luke Betterton and Oscar Briggs, and thanks to Paul Crowther and Bruce Garrido who are in the chat doing all the magical work of getting those questions, and thanks to my co-host Arthur Tomey for just being his lovely self.
I think we should let them go out with a shot, don't you, Stephen?
Yeah,
I think we should finish on
a personal
3, 2, 1 it and say it.
Oh God, I don't know. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try it.
Remember, it's personal narrative. Have one more on me. So
okay, ready, 3.
So we'll see you on Monday. Thank you very much for tuning. I hope you enjoyed this Dev Diary. We've loads more to show you on the road to Odyssey. 07 Commanders, and 3, 2, 1. Personal narrative.
So what's really unique about Odyssey in the Elite Dangerous universe is that for the very first time we're going to allow people to set foot on the planets and in spaceports and explore the world in this new perspective.
We've tried to maintain what we felt was a core part of Elite, which is freedom of choice.
And we really embraced that with Odyssey and have transposed all of those careers back down onto an on-foot experience. So when you're picking your base suit in Odyssey, you're really picking it based on the career and activities that you want to undertake. Each of the suits has its own strengths and weaknesses.
So for instance, there'll be a suit that skews towards exploration, a suit that skews towards combat, and also a suit which you might want to wear if you were to go scavenging, hunting through wrecks to find bits of equipment that might be useful to you.
Odyssey will provide players with a clear choice. They're free to take missions, either from mission boards or mission givers, or players can go out and explore.
So we allow the player to disembark at outposts, planet ports, spaceports. So all of these are great places to find work and undertake missions, but also now you can go to our new settlements, which are a kind of more Dust Bowl Wild West towns that you'd found on the edges of civilization.
When you find these settlements, I think you'll want to travel into them and see what the lay of the land is, see what options and opportunities they offer, and decide which way you're going to play.
With Odyssey, for the first time, we'll have fully modelled and fully animated characters appearing in game, and they will feel part of the universe and extend the narrative that's there.
They will be moving through these spaces, you'll be able to interact with them, some of them will speak to you, so we've had to work on getting those performances right.
It's a whole new way of exploring the game. You'll hear the settlement, how alive it is. You'll hear announcers, you go into buildings and the soundscape changes. It's the very first time that you're experiencing the sound of Elite Dangerous, not inside a ship or inside a little vehicle, but inside a body.
Meeting people who you can relate to in places is the way you can feel grounded in this quite fantastical universe. And there's going to be a lot of players transferring from the main game who have never experienced this before but will understand how it feels to be in that universe.
All of the NPCs that you encounter in Odyssey are all generated as part of the background sim. So if I go to a port or a settlement, the NPCs that I'm going to find there will be affiliated with the faction that owns that settlement. So we're driving some personality into our NPCs via the background sim connection, and I think that's an amazing addition.
One of our new features and new characters works for a corporation called Apex Interstellar.
Players will be able to book journeys to and from ports within jump range. This gives a way for those players to actually move around the galaxy for a relatively cheap fee and experience gameplay away from the ports themselves.
So within the on-foot gameplay, the primary way of earning credits is to actually undertake missions and obviously complete them successfully. But you can also do some slightly more nefarious acts. Maybe you'll go to settlements and steal items and sell them onto the black market. Or you could become an explorer and collect samples from our new organic life.
With Odyssey, we've worked really hard to maintain player agency. We want players to have the choice about how they play Elite. If players want to continue in their ship gameplay, absolutely. If they want to engage in on-foot gameplay, perfect. If they want to do both, even better.
And that really has always been at the heart of Elite. It's not the game we're telling you how to play, it's the game that you are creating your own story in. We're really looking forward to seeing how our players take that story forward and how they develop it.